Good day, everyone. So, this is Zarla Mabu and Rodrigo, and I am here for the continuation of the report for Chapter 12 Leadership Interaction between the leader and the situation and the specific leadership skills. To start with, this is the topic outline for this report. So, for the interaction between the leader and the situation, we have situational favorability, organizational climate, subordinate ability, and relationships with subordinates. For these specific leadership skills, we have leadership through decision making, leadership through contact, leadership through power, leadership through vision, and leadership through persuasion. So, the intended learning outcomes for this report is to understand the importance of leaders adapting their behavior to each situation and know what skills are essential for effective leadership. So, interaction between the leader and the situation. As previously said, a leader's efficacy is frequently determined not only by the attributes she possesses, but also by the environment in which she finds herself. Several hypotheses have evolved in recent decades in an attempt to explain the situational character of leadership. Situational favorability. So, Fred Fiedler created the most well known and contentious situational theory in the mid 1960s. Fiedler argued that a person's leadership style is a culmination of a lifetime of experiences and thus difficult to change. According to Fiedler's contingency model, a person's leadership style is not only effective in specific scenarios. As a result, Fiedler contends that rather than teaching individuals how to modify their leadership styles, leadership training should focus on helping people understand their leadership styles and learning how to control a situation such that the two are compatible. Fiedler created the least preferred coworker or LPC scale to assist people identify their leadership style. There are three factors influence the favorableness of a situation. The first is task structuredness. Structured tasks have clearly stated and understood goals, just a few correct answers to a problem, and can be done in a limited number of ways. The better the situation, the more structured the task is. The second factor is the leader position power. That is, the better the situation, the higher the leader's position or lawful power. As a result, a group or organizational context in which no designated leader exists is not regarded as a suitable leadership position. The third factor is the relationship between the leader and the members or the leader-member relations. The scenario will be more advantageous if the subordinates like their leader. The most essential of the three variables is the leader-member connection. The link between LPC scores and group performance is complicated, as seen in Figure 12.3, or the relationship between LPC scores and group success. So low-scoring LPC leaders, or those who give their least preferred teammate a low rating, perform best in settings that are either favorable or unfavorable, whereas high-scoring LPC leaders do best in conditions that are just somewhat favorable. Leader Match is Fiedler's training program that has also been backed up by research. So Fiedler's idea that an individual's leadership style is difficult to modify underpins this approach. Leaders learn how to diagnose circumstances or situations and then adjust them to meet their specific leadership styles in 4-hour seminars to improve their talents. Organizational climate. So Gier, Downey, and Johnson in 1980 established the impact hypothesis, so which stated that each leader has one of 6 behavioral styles. And these are informative, magnetic, position, affiliation, coercive, and tactical. And each style works best in a specific situation or what the researchers refer to as an organizational climate. Informational style in a climate of ignorance. In a climate of ignorance where crucial information is lacking from the group, the leader with an informative style offers information. So for example, if a car containing 4 college professors and a mechanic broke down on the side of the road, who would become the leader? So almost certainly it would be the mechanic because he would probably be the one who had the most knowledge or information needed to solve the problem. Magnetic style in a climate of despair. A magnetic leader inspires others with his or her energy and optimism, and is only successful in a climate of despair marked by low morale. So, when a magnetic or charismatic individual establishes charge in a scenario of general despair, the chances of successful leadership improve. Just like Ronald Reagan, perhaps the best example of a magnetic leader. As a president, he was optimistic and well liked even by people who may not have agreed with him politically. He was elected at a time when the national mood was depressed because of high inflation, high unemployment, and the Iran hostage situation. Position style in a climate of instability. A person who leads using the position style does so because of the power that comes with that position. Individuals that utilize a position style will only be effective in climates of instability. So, this approach is particularly helpful during business mergers when people are unsure about what steps to take. So, such a person might lead through statements like, as your captain, I am ordering you to do it, or because I am your mother, that's why. So, affiliation style in a climate of anxiety. So, a person who leads with an affiliation style likes and cares about others. In an atmosphere of concern and anxiety, or when worry predominates, a leader who uses affiliation will be most effective. So, former President Jimmy Carter provides an excellent example of affiliation style. Carter was elected president shortly after the Watergate affair, when many voters were worried that they could not trust politicians or their government. Carter campaigned successfully with statements such as I care and I am not part of that Washington crowd. Coercive style in a climate of crisis. The coercive style of leadership is most successful in a crisis because it controls reward and punishment. This is common military style. So, such a leader will often use statements such as do it or you're fired, or if you can get the package there on time, I will have a little something for you. This style is typical in war. So, for example, if a soldier disobey an order, an officer can have them shot. Conversely, if soldiers behave with bravery and distinction, an officer can reward them with a medal or promotion. Tactical style in a climate of disorganization. A tactical leader is most effective in a disorganized environment because he or she leads via strategy. So, a good example is a class that breaks into small groups to complete an assignment. Ideally, every student knows the material well enough to complete the assignment, but normally there is a limited amount of time and too much work to do. So, the person who becomes the leader is the one who is best able to organize the group. Becoming an effective leader according to impact theory. So, if the impact theory is right, one of the four strategies listed in Table 12.3 can help people become effective leaders. The first method is to find an environment that matches their behavioral style. The second method involves changing a leader's style to fit a specific environment. And as a result, good leaders should be willing to alter their conduct and have the ability to play each of the six leadership styles. The third method, a person might become an effective leader, is to alter followers' perception of the environment so that they match the leader's behavioral style. And the last method, for a leader to become effective, is to change the climate itself rather than just changing followers' views of the climate. Subordinate ability. So the abilities and attitudes of the leader's followers, as well as how these abilities and attitudes interact with the leader's style and qualities, have a significant impact on the leader's effectiveness. House thought that subordinates will accept a leader's behavior only to the extent that it aids them in achieving their objectives. Supervisors must alter their actions to satisfy the needs of their subordinates because their needs change with each new situation. Leaders who adjust their conduct to meet the demands of their subordinates are more effective than those who stick to a single style of leadership. To manage each scenario, a leader can utilize one of four behavioral leadership styles according to House's path goal theory. So, for instrumental style, employees' activities must be planned, organized, and controlled. Supportive style, the leader is concerned about his employees. Participative style, employees are given access to information and are allowed to participate in decision making. Achievement oriented style, a leader establishes difficult goals and recognizes and rewards improved performance. Each method will only operate in specific settings and is dependent on the ability of subordinates and the degree to which the task is structured. In general, the less directive the boss should be, the higher the level of subordinate abilities. Similarly, the more chaotic the situation is, the more directive the leader should be. House and Mitchell in 1974 go on to say that for a leader to be effective, he or she should first recognize the needs of subordinates and work to satisfy those needs. Second, reward subordinates who reach their goals. Third, help subordinates identify the best paths to take in reaching particular goals. And lastly, clear those paths so that employees can reach their goals. The path goal theory appeals to managers because it provides straightforward recommendations on how to act in certain scenarios. The theory could also be employed in training because it is behavior based rather than trait based. Another theory that focuses on the relationship between the leader and the followers is the situational leadership theory. Hersey and Blanchard in 1988 proposed that a leader's action is often divided into four categories: delegating, directing, supporting, and coaching. The most significant follower attribute according to Hersey and Blanchard is follower readiness, or the capacity and willingness to do a specific duty. Either the manager's rating form or the self-rating form established by Hersey and Blanchard can be used to assess follower readiness. Followers are classified into one of four readiness, or R levels, based on their responses to this form. We have R1, or unable and unwilling or insecure; R2, unable but willing or confident; R3, able but unwilling or insecure; and R4, able and willing or confident. The directing approach is the most successful leader behavior for R1 followers. With R2 followers, a coaching approach should be used because they are willing to complete the task but are unsure how to do it. R3 followers are provided a lot of emotional support as well as opportunity to communicate with each other. This strategy works because the followers already know what they should do but are undecided about doing it. When the delegating leadership style is applied, R4 followers are most productive and pleased. These followers are willing and capable of completing the assignment. Effective leaders, according to this notion, analyze their employees' skill and motivation levels for each goal or series of tasks, and then change their leadership style to meet the employee's level. It is critical for leaders to talk about this plan with each employee so that they understand why they're being treated that way they are. Situational leadership theory, like many other leadership theories, has a strong intuitive appeal and has been successful in various organizational settings. Relationships with subordinates. So the leader-member exchange theory, or LMX theory, was developed by Danciro, Grain, and Haga in 1975 and was originally called Vertical Dyad Linkage Theory, or VDL theory. LMX is a one-of-a-kind situational theory and focuses on the relationships between leaders and their subordinates. The idea was named after the relationship between two persons, or a dyad, the leader's position above the subordinate, or the vertical, and their interconnected conduct, or the linkage. According to the LMX hypothesis, leaders build distinct roles and relationships with their subordinates, and so act differently with each subordinate. Subordinates, according to Danciro and his colleagues, fall into one of two categories. The first one is in-group, which is characterized by a high-quality relationship with the leader those who have developed trusting and friendly relationships with the leader. The second one is the out group, which is characterized by a low quality relationship with the leader, differently from those in the in group, and are more likely to be given direct orders and to have less say about how affairs are conducted. Specific leadership skills. So, another way to think about leadership is that good leaders have certain skills or act in certain ways that bad leaders don't. Yukel, Carter, Hemphill, and Coons and Gibbs established a behavioral theory after watching thousands of leaders in a range of scenarios. And these are initiate ideas, informally interact with subordinates, stand up for and support subordinates, take responsibility, develop a group atmosphere, organize and structure work, communicate formally with subordinates, reward and punish subordinates, set goals, make decisions, train and develop employee skills, solve problems, and generate enthusiasm. In job analysis of first line supervisors at the Maryland Department of Transportation, Cooper, Kaufman, and Yu in 1996 found the following skills to be essential. And these are organizing, analysis and decision making, planning, communication, either oral and written, delegation, work habits, especially high quality work, carefulness, interpersonal skill, job knowledge, organizational knowledge, toughness, integrity, development of others, and listening. This theory is not particularly exciting and is the least described in textbooks, but it is the way leadership is most often practiced in the industry. Leadership through decision making. Making decisions is a certain behavior or ability that every leader should have. Previous study, according to Vroom and Dieton in 1973, has demonstrated that a leader's decisions are best made only in particular scenarios. In other situations, judgments are better made with the cooperation of a leader's subordinates, colleagues, or both. Vroom and Dieton believe that teaching leaders to make better decisions will increase their leadership performance. The Vroom-Dieton model does include a flowchart that can show a leader how to go about making a choice in a certain situation. Leadership through contact or management by walking around. Another popular specialized behavioral theory is management by walking around, or MBWA. This theory asserts that leaders and managers are most effective when they are out of their offices, walking about and talking to employees and customers about their needs and progress. MBWA is intended to improve communication, strengthen employee connections, and stimulate employee participation. Leadership through power. Management by power is another method that many leaders employ. A leader's power is vital because as it grows, so does the leader's ability to influence others. Powerful leaders can get more resources, set policies, and develop further in an organization than those with little or no power. French and Raven identify 5 basic types of power. The first one is expert power. Leaders that have specialist knowledge and know something useful will have power. The information must be useful to others in the organization. Others must be aware that the leader is privy to information. Information is only useful if other people are aware that the leader has it and that he or she uses it. Next is the legitimate power. Leaders acquire genuine authority through their positions. Leaders with legitimate power are the most effective at getting employees to follow their directions, but their followers are dissatisfied. Next is the reward power. It refers to the controlling over both monetary rewards, such as pay increases, bonuses, or promotions, and non-monetary benefits, such as praise or more favorable work assignments. Coercive power refers to the belief that he or she is willing to use her position to punish. Punishment can take the form of firing or not advancing someone, as well as the subtler act of giving someone the cold shoulder. Referent power. Another source of power for a leader could be other people's positive feelings about him. Leaders who are well liked have the ability to influence others even when they are not rewarded or have coercive authority. Referent power can be obtained in a variety of ways, including complimenting others, doing favors, or overall being kind and supportive. Leadership through vision or transformational leadership. It has been popular in the last 20 years to divide leadership styles into two categories: transactional and transformative. The purpose of transformational leadership is to change or transform others' goals, values, ethics, standards, and performance. Transformational leaders are confident, have a great desire to influence others, and have a strong sense that their thoughts and ideas are correct. They are typically described as visionary, charismatic, and inspirational. It is believed that there are three highly related dimensions to transformational leadership. First is charisma. Charisma leaders or charismatic leaders who have high moral and ethical standards, a clear vision of where they want their followers to go, and who motivate their followers with passion. The next one is the intellectual stimulation. These are the leaders who value variety, stimulate change and open thinking, and question the current quo. And the last one is the individual consideration. These are the leaders that value personal development and take the time to mentor and coach their subordinates. Uckel in 1994 offered the following guidelines for transformational leadership. According to him, a leader must develop a clear and appealing vision. A leader must develop a strategy for attaining the vision. A leader must articulate and promote the vision. A leader should act confident and optimistic. A leader should express confidence in followers. A leader should use early success in small steps to build confidence. A leader should celebrate successes. A leader should use dramatic and symbolic actions to emphasize key values. And a leader should lead by example. And lastly, a leader should create, modify, or eliminate such cultural forms as symbols, slogans, and ceremonies. Positive outcomes have been found in research on transformational leadership. Judge, Piccolo, and Eilis in 2004 conducted a meta-analysis and discovered strong links between transformational leadership and numerous elements of leader effectiveness, including follower satisfaction, motivation, and group performance. Hunt and Lying in 1997 suggested, based on their study, that excellent leaders have 5 characteristics that weak leaders lack. First, we have vision. Good leaders have a vision for where they want the company to go and give it direction in that direction. Second, differentiation. Successful leaders are distinct from their following in some way. It could be a personality difference in some circumstances, and in others, it could be a charismatic, knowledgeable, or skilled difference. Though great leaders are distinct from their followers in some ways, they are also similar enough that they can relate to and empathize with them. Values. Successful leaders have strong values. Transmission of vision and values. Successful leaders are able to communicate their vision and values to others. And lastly, we have flaws. Successful leaders almost always have a big fault that they are aware of. This imperfection makes the leader more human and gives supporters something to focus on when they are angry with him. Leadership through persuasion. One skill that is commonly needed by leaders is the ability to persuade others. We will only briefly discuss 2 important aspects of persuasion. It is the communicator and the message. Persuasion by communication. Considerable research indicates that people who have certain characteristics can communicate through persuasion more easily than people who lack these characteristics. And these characteristics are expertise, trustworthiness, and attractiveness. So, expertise. Expertise, according to research, is a leader who has or is considered to have expertise in the field is more persuasive in general. Leaders must be the most knowledgeable about their shared interests in order to persuade their followers. Next is the trustworthiness. A leader can do a number of things to increase his or her trustworthiness. To begin with, he has the ability to argue against what appears to be his own self-interest on occasion. A leader can communicate not only that he is similar to them, but also that his goals are comparable to theirs. And lastly, attractiveness. So persuasion works in the same way. Attractive people are more persuasive than unattractive people. The message. Persuasion is influenced by the type of message that is conveyed. Three aspects of the message have been studied. These are message discrepancy, one-sided versus two-sided arguments, and lastly, threats. Message discrepancy. When negotiating, ask for more than you want and then back down. You will lose credibility if you ask for too much and make an argument that is too different from the opposing sides. When you ask for the exact amount you want, there is no opportunity for bargaining. One-sided versus two-sided arguments. If the person being persuaded already is positive about an idea, it is usually better to argue only one side of an issue. If, however, the other person disagrees with the reasoning, it is better to argue with both sides. But after the other side of the issue has been argued, it can be refuted, and the favored side can then be re-argued. Last but not the least, threats. When appropriate, a leader might employ threat as another tool of persuasion. However, in order for a threat to be successful, the person being persuaded must believe it will be carried out, and that is that the consequences of not complying would be unfavorable and unavoidable. Threats can be effective in persuading, but they can also have unintended repercussions. Few individuals enjoy being threatened, and many of those who are threatened will resent the person who makes the threat. Some people may react so strongly to the threat that they perform the exact opposite of what the leader intends. And this is what we call psychological reactance. And I guess this is the end of my report. So, thank you for listening and have a good day.